Our next guest is one of the best football analysts around because he puts the meat in meat and potato broadcasters. He allegedly played for 6 years in the NFL, but we're still looking for a second source. He went to Princeton, but he sounds like he went to a community college. He loves beer, he loves meat, and he loves his family in that order. He's our buddy. He's Ross Tucker. Yay! Yeah! Westwood One CBS sports analyst, former NFL offensive lineman. His Monday appearance, Ross Tucker, host of the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. When we told him that J.J. Watt showed up 2 hours ago and he was cold, I think you called J.J. Watt soft. Is that fair assessment of what you called him?
I would say so, yeah. I would always rather be in life a little bit cold than a little bit warm.
Okay.
A little bit warm for me, like I was over at Radio Row earlier, I'm sweating.
Okay.
A little bit warm for me, I'm sweating. I'd rather be a little bit cold. I can deal with this.
You look good.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Likewise.
Yeah, it's good to see you here.
It's so funny because people always say to me, what's Dan like? Tell me more about Dan. I'm like, well, usually when I'm at the man cave, Dan isn't.
Yes.
So I don't really know Dan that well, actually. Everybody always wants all the Dan back. I'm like, I don't really know that other than Dan's awesome. He's so generous.
Is this the first time we've been in person?
No, I met you once or twice at Stamford, Connecticut, NBC Sports. You were doing NBC Sports stuff.
Yeah, but I was such a big star. I didn't have time for you back then. Yeah.
No, there was one time you were giving out the trophy in Glendale, I think. And Paulie called me. There was bad weather. Paulie said, hey, can you get to New York City in case something happens with Dan's flight? Can you fill in on the show Monday? I said, okay. So I'm in a hotel room. It was here.
Yeah.
It was the Edelman. It was the Malcolm Butler.
Yeah.
So it was here. And so I'm in a hotel room by myself, just watching the game. And it's wild and crazy, of course. I get there the next morning, and we didn't know if you were going to make it or not.
Yeah.
And so Dan walks in, and he says, everybody here is happy to see me, except for you.
And I had to do a red eye to get back. So
I know.
I handed out the trophy, and then I had to race to the airport to get a red eye to fly back to do the show. What do you think of Paulie's impersonation of you?
You want to do it in front of me, Paulie?
How about this, Dan? Ask a
Okay,
football
I'll ask a
question to
question.
Ross and I. We'll go back
You
to
know
back.
what? And I'll close my eyes, and I'll try to tell who's Ross and who is Paulie. Where is the drama in this year's Super Bowl?
It's all drama. I mean, Philly, Jalen Hurts, if he wins this game, goes to a new level. And let me tell you something. I know Philly football, they've been looking for a quarterback since Jaworski, Jaws. This guy, new level. Book it.
Okay. All right. Now, Paulie, your turn.
So first of all, I'm glad I now know what going to a community college sounds like, evidently, based on your based on the intro there. That's what going to a community college. You know what's so funny? I've never been on a show before where you walked in, so I didn't know how to walk in. Yeah. Like you've probably been on like Tonight Show and Fame. Like I didn't know. Like everybody always looks awkward.
Yes.
I'm pretty happy. I decided to do the fist bump across this. I thought that was pretty good, right?
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Because then they're not looking at like I thought about doing like the Ric Flair.
That wouldn't have been good. Okay. Is there drama this week leading up to this Super Bowl?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Especially in Philadelphia. This is a big deal, Dan. I mean, Andy Reid was a coach for 14 years. It's interesting, too, because I would say 90% of the people from Philly, I'm from there, they love Andy Reid. And obviously they want to win, but if they lose, it's kind of nice that Andy Reid wins a second Super Bowl. There's this weird element. There's like a 5-10% element that for whatever reason, they really don't like Andy Reid. And I guess it's because he never won the whole thing there.
Yeah.
But 5 conference championship games, 4 in a row, I'm happy for him. Like if they win, I'm happy. I'm happy. And I'm also, if you're the Eagles, wouldn't you rather play the Chiefs in the sense that if the Eagles beat Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, I don't care what anybody says, that sounds better than beating Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor. The Bengals and Burrow, they're not there yet. It's like a bigger accomplishment. Just like when the Eagles won their first Super Bowl ever 5 years ago, it was Brady and Belichick. That has an added cachet to just winning the Super Bowl.
I would just win the Super Bowl. It wouldn't matter. You know, when you look back, we don't always remember the championships of who somebody beat. It's just they won their Super Bowls. Because if I say, you know, Joe Montana's toughest games were the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
His 2 toughest Super Bowls were against the Cincinnati Bengals. I also saw where some analysts have already put Mahomes in the top 10 all time. Is Patrick Mahomes a top 10 quarterback?
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, I mean, I think he's the best player in the sport right now, and I don't think it's really that close. Okay. I mean, I think if you asked, you know, let's say you were starting the 33rd team or whatever, you're starting a team out here in Scottsdale, you could take any quarterback. I really think pretty much every GM would say Mahomes. I mean, who else is even up there? Josh Allen? Is anybody really taking Josh Allen over Mahomes?
I would have Burrow. I would have Joe in the conversation.
Right, but you still wouldn't do it.
Because there's not a big age difference there. What is Mahomes, 27, and Joe Burrow is 25, 26?
I mean, he started for 5 years. He's hosted 5 AFC Championship games. He's in his 3rd Super Bowl. He has a chance to win. He right now is at the start of the best career ever. Now, it's highly unlikely he'll be able to have the sustained success that Brady did and or the longevity. But the start right now, nobody's had their first 5 years. I mean, obviously Marino's numbers were crazy, but not in terms of championship games and Super Bowls and stuff like this.
Yeah, I think I said this at the beginning of the year, maybe at the end of last year, we've underrated Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
Like he graduated to that degree where you go, oh, yeah, that's right, Mahomes. We almost forget that. And we want to usher in the new quarterback. Like,
Always.
oh, man, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow. Oh, my God. And then you go, but he's still there.
Well, 2 things. Number 1 is we kind of get bored.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, what's the new thing? What's the next big thing?
And I likened it to the San Antonio Spurs, where they were there every year.
Right.
And people go, oh, God, the Spurs.
Right.
But we didn't appreciate excellence, but that's what they were. They were a dynasty. But normally we love a dynasty, like Shaq and Kobe or the Bulls, and, you know, those are dynasties. Spurs were like, that's a dynasty? Well, they are. We just like star power with our dynasties.
Yeah, and how about the fact that he did what he did this year without Tyreek Hill? I mean, arguably the best receiver in the NFL. He goes out there, by far the most touchdown passes, by far the most yards. If there was any kind of debate, Dan, because people used to say, oh, well, with Tyreek Hill, you know, you always have the safety over the top. He dictates coverage. He stretches the field. That was almost like the one little knock you could have at Mahomes is that so much of it is him benefiting from Tyreek Hill. He's totally evaporated that. Totally.
He's Ross Tucker joining us on behalf of DraftKings, the former NFL offensive lineman. Who does Chris Jones remind you of?
Ooh, man, he is a really, really good player. He kind of reminds me, you know, back in the day, remember when the Cowboys had like Too Tall Jones? I know Chris Jones isn't that big, but just it felt like Too Tall Jones was a force in the interior in the 80s for the Cowboys. Chris Jones, there's no way, Dan, in my mind, that the Chiefs win this game unless he has a almost MVP caliber type game. I mean, he really, because the Eagles are just so good up front that Chris Jones has to be dominant player, making things happen in the backfield.
Well,
if
they
not,
could have given him MVP when they beat the Niners.
Yeah.
He was great in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
But who has to have a better game, Reddick or Jones?
Jones, because the Eagles have other guys. You know, the Eagles have other guys that can make big plays, Brandon Graham and Hargrave and Fletcher Cox. If it's not, I mean, maybe Frank Clark, but if it's not Chris Jones for the Chiefs, I don't know who it is. The problem is, here's what I really think the whole game comes down to. We all agree that Mahomes is the best player on the planet and the best player in this game. Is the Eagles' O-line and D-line advantage, Dan, is it enough to offset Mahomes? Or can the Chiefs' big guys up front hold serve enough to keep it close enough that Mahomes wins? Like there, in my mind, there's no chance that the Chiefs win by double digits. But watching that Eagles tape against the Niners, there is a chance that the Eagles come out and just run over the Chiefs. I think that's a possibility.
Well, I wonder, though, can the Eagles withstand a shootout? You know, if Mahomes gets up by 2 touchdowns or 10 points, can the Eagles with their running game? Do they stay with their running game? Do they stay with who they are, their identity? That's probably one of the biggest questions I have going into this. Can the Eagles win by being an old school football team?
Well, and not only that, can Jalen Hurts play better than he did the last couple games? It's kind of bizarre that they won the last couple games by 20 points, and Hurts didn't even really play that well.
No.
It's kind of hard to imagine them winning the Super Bowl without Hurts playing better than he did the last couple games. He's not going to be able to just hand off and barely throw the ball and they win that way. If that's the case, I mean, like you're a historian of this stuff, Dan. If the Eagles win this game by double digits, then they're 17-1 with Hurts as their quarterback, and they win all 3 playoff games by double digits. Then we have to have a totally different conversation about where these Eagles stack up in terms of all-time great teams. I mean, nobody's saying that right now, but if they win this by double digits, I think that's a conversation.
Do you have any old beefs, existing beefs with players that if you see somebody here at the Super Bowl, that would you say something or would there be a look or something?
There's 2 guys that spit in my face in 2004. One guy...
Is that on the field?
Oh, yeah. One guy, I think he might do some media stuff, and I've gone back and forth with him on social media, not in a bad way. Like, he admitted on social media
Well,
that...
you can say who it is.
Yeah, Langston Moore. Langston Moore from the Bengals, yeah.
Paulie, let's say hello to Langston Moore. Hey, come on.
The other guy was Gerard Warren from the Browns, and I wouldn't even get near that guy. I think Langston Moore and I could have a conversation about it,
okay?
Because he's apologized on social media. I don't know where Gerard is or what he's doing, but if you really say, "Hey, welcome in, Gerard Warren," I'd be like, "Where is security exactly here? Is Marvin in charge of security?"
He scared you?
So not only did he spit in my face, but late in the game, we're up by like 3 touchdowns. And I'm blocking him, and we're running in for another touchdown, 2004. And rather than try to make the tackle, he like does this move where he has my arm like this. And he has me like in an arm bar. And he says, "I'm going to break your mother effing arm." And I was like, "No, Gerard, no, Gerard, no, it's cool, man, it's cool. No. I was legitimately scared that he was just going to snap and break my arm because we had scrimmaged them in the preseason. And I threw him down on the ground, and then I kind of speared him.
Oh.
So he was still mad about that. He didn't let it go. He should just let it go.
So you brought it on. You were the cheap shot artist.
Not cheap shot. I was finishing the play. And then I'll never forget. So, Dan, this is the truth. That first game against Cleveland, 2004, look it up. One of the first couple plays, somebody pushes me after the play. Then Gerard Warren spits in my face. So we come out for the second series, okay? TV timeout. So you know, people that don't go to games, you don't realize TV timeout, both the teams are out there just standing there waiting for the commercial to be over. So I walk over to the Browns D-line, and I said, in all sincerity, I said, "Hey guys, I'm sick of it now. I'm gonna break one of your bleeping legs on the next play." And I walk back to the huddle. And so we come back out for the next play. And the thing as offensive linemen, like, you know, they all have to rush. If I'm freed up, I can go like this, and I can choose what I'm going to do. So right before the play, Alvin McKinley, who was like, Tuck, we're good. It's over now, man. It's good. It's over now. We're good." Right before the play, he did not, because he knew I was like, mad. I was kind of serious. Like, I'm going to try to take out one of your legs on this play. By the way, they were terrible. There's a lot of stories from one game against a bad team. I'm also self-conscious about my sitting right now.
Why?
Well, do you like should I be lean? Like, I feel like I'm like Tom Arnold. Like,
You're
or
good.
should I be more like lean back? Like,
It's too late. Your segment's over.
yeah. I love that you guys had one of the best linemen of the last 20 years on your show today.
And J.J.
And J.J. Watt.
Yeah.
I've been working on that all week.
Yeah.
I got that one in the canister.
Nobody spits in J.J. Watt's face.
No, definitely not.
No one spit in
Definitely
his face. Hey, it's great to see you. And
Always.
thanks again for your contributions all year long. Fans love you. The meathead, James Vanderbeek. Does your wife see the resemblance of you and James Vanderbeek?
You know what? I haven't talked to her that much about it. She did tell me, though, I was skiing this weekend. She did say, before you go on Dan Patrick, say yes to the makeup. Say yes to the makeup. Because, like, my face was red from, like, being in the, it was like 8 degrees in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So she's like, I don't know how she said this. She said something like, I don't want you to take this the wrong way.
Oh, you're looking at the what's the right way to take it?
I hesitate to say this.
Oh, boy.
But friendly reminder to wear your makeup.
Okay.
Your nose is so red from this weekend.
Thank
you, Kara.
What if you said that to your wife?
Oh, I'd get killed.
Yeah.
You'd be Gerard Warren.
Yeah.
You can't even say I hesitate to say this.
Yes. If you hesitate to say it, then don't say it.
1,000%. Yes. I'm glad she told me, though. I'm glad I said yes. The lady over there was amazing.
No, not that good. Let's take a break. Our good friend Ross Tucker, thank you, buddy.
Absolutely. Thanks
We'll
for
come
having me.
back. We'll close up shop after this.